Well, I know that everybody in Georgia is looking forward to you being there as well. Let's just get started. Let's talk.
Okay.
What's your first order of business when you hit the ground in Georgia?
Well, we are going to start as soon as we start seeing people. We're going to start talking about the election tomorrow, the importance of turning out the vote, making sure they voted, making sure they're going to take people with them. And the consequences are just so enormously high. The political philosophy that will direct our country is on the line with this election tomorrow, and it's either going to be socialism or freedom. And this goes far beyond 2 senators in Georgia. The direction of our country is at stake at this. And so we're just going to be talking with everyone we can about the importance of this, and let's make sure we turn out the vote and get a victory tomorrow.
I absolutely agree with you, Congressman. I think that this is probably one of the most significant elections in modern American political history. I don't think there's anything to really compare it to, considering what we've seen from Reverend Warnock and, his definitely his belief, very, very communist agenda, ideology, and what we've seen too with Ossoff and his connections to China. I really feel like we're at a crux here, at a crossroads. What about all of those Georgians who are frustrated, who were angry with the presidential election and who don't want to get out there and vote? What do you say to them? How do you get them out there?
Yeah, listen, is basically the same kind of message. And I am, frankly, one of those Georgians who's angry with what happened in November. The Secretary of State, without question, broke the law in sending out applications for absentee ballots to everyone on the voter registration list. He made it more difficult for signature verifications to be done appropriately. He opened up ballot harvesting through the drop boxes. All of this without authorization from the Georgia General Assembly. And what that did is just open up the entire state to fraud. And we have just tens and tens and tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of votes that were illegally cast in Georgia. There is no doubt in my mind that President Trump won and that he won big. And other Georgians feel that as well. And they're upset. That being said, there are steps being made to try to minimize the fraud this go around. For example, there's some 8,000 additional eyes and actually individuals on the ground to have observation and monitoring of the voting and the elections. And, whenever you have more eyes on the ground like that, you minimize the risk of fraud. And so hopefully we're not going to have as big of a problem. But the issue is socialism versus freedom, and we got to get out the vote. The one with the most votes is going to win. So this is our hour, and it all is resting on the shoulders of Georgia at this point.
Absolutely. There are a lot of folks I've talked to in Georgia, many people who have testified to what they say was election fraud, who are very concerned about the actions taken by Stacey Abrams, and that she has been, for the last few months, working diligently, basically, to send out all of those, what they call universal ballots, right? To try to get those folks. I mean, we can't even confirm who some of these people are. Some people believe that some of these ballots have gone outside the state. We saw that during the election. So she has really been pushing to get people to vote by mail, and really pushing hard. Is there any way that you can alleviate anybody's concerns that this vote won't have similar problems that what we saw in the presidential election?
Unfortunately, there's no magic wand to wave out there to say all those problems have gone away. We have an absolutely unresponsive Secretary of State, and other leaders in our state have not stood up to protect the election integrity as they should have. But that being said, there have been steps, as I mentioned, to try to minimize the repeat of what happened in November from occurring again. And so within the context of what we're dealing with, the bottom line, you cannot change election laws once an election is in cycle. So once the election began in November, we can't, the Georgia General Assembly cannot come now and change all those rules. So what happened in November, the open doors that were provided largely are still going to be there. So the issue is we need more people on the ground observing, making sure that fraud does not occur this time, and that is happening. So we can't just wave a white flag. There's just too much. Efforts are to minimize fraud as best as can be. All the problems will be dealt with, I'm sure, in the next session of the General Assembly. But now we got to focus on tomorrow. We got to get the vote out. We got to win this thing.
Well, you're going to be there with President Trump. President Trump is expected to speak tonight in Georgia, and that's very important. But we also have the issue of the phone call and Raffensperger, the Secretary of State, basically leaking. People believe that phone call with President Trump to the media. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, number one, I don't know how something like that gets leaked accidentally. And so it's very disturbing that it ever got out. But the actual conversation itself, look, the president was just simply he was not asking for the secretary to find 12,000 votes, 11,000 plus. He was not asking to go find those. He was asking for an investigation to identify that which we already know, is that there were tens and tens and tens of thousands of illegal votes cast in Georgia. And our Secretary of State, unfortunately, has been unwilling to investigate those things and to have an audit and to have signature verifications and on and on and on. And the president was just simply urging him to do really what is his duty and his responsibility to ensure election integrity. And the president is confident, as am I, and millions of others, that if the Secretary of State will do that, it will be found that the president, in fact, won Georgia. And I believe he won. I believe he won big in Georgia. And we need the Secretary of State to show leadership and to do what he needs to do and have some serious investigations. And I believe the evidence will, in fact, prove that President Trump won Georgia. And that was all that the president was asking for. He's totally appropriate in doing so.
Absolutely, 100%, and I agree with you on that. Now we have 12 senators. We see that Senator Ted Cruz is one of the most vocal as well. We got Senator Marsha Blackburn. They are looking for a 10-day audit of the presidential election. How do you feel about that? What do you think should be done in the case of that? And I know you're part of a large group of House members who are also going to stand up and say, we're not going to certify this vote until we get things done, until we actually investigate what we believe to be election fraud. I know that Senator Tom Cotton stunned everyone when he said he's going to certify Joe Biden and that he proposes a study commission instead. I'd like your thoughts on that as well. But just overall, before you get on that plane, I'd like to get your thoughts on those.
Yeah, great question. And listen, I'm kind of in favor of all of the above when it comes to whatever is involved in trying to get to the bottom of election fraud. So what the senators are proposing, if they are able to get that, then great. I doubt very seriously if that's going to happen. Mitch McConnell has come out vocally opposing it and discouraging senators from even challenging the electoral votes. So to think that Mitch McConnell is going to allow a vote on that, I believe, is wishful thinking. I don't believe it will happen. So we're going to continue the process that we have written out for us in the Constitution and the ECA. We're going to do all we can as in whatever methods are available to us to contest serious allegations in at least 6 states across America of serious fraud, and to have any representative, be it Cotton or anyone else, who refuses to investigate potential election fraud is not only offensive and disturbing, it is inexcusable, and I don't believe an individual like that should even be in office. If we lose the integrity of our elections in this country, we lose our republic. We lose the voice of the people to speak as to who is going to lead our country and make decisions. And where there are serious allegations such as we have now, it is incumbent, it is necessary for the elected officials to take a stand to investigate those allegations and to ensure to the American people that our election system is in fact secure. in every way. And for anyone, both sides of the aisle, Democrat and Republican, there should be unity on both sides of the aisle to ensure that our elections are secure in every way. And for anyone not to do that is just extremely offensive and inexcusable to me.
Well, the future of our republic relies on that, relies on the sanctity of these elections. And, one of the things I wanted to ask you, I've been talking to folks in law enforcement, federal law enforcement officials on the U.S.-Mexico border, people that are very vested in fighting for this country, people that former military, current military, and they are so frustrated. They're saying, look, if we don't fix this, what did it all mean? What does it mean to us? We put so much on the line. We fight for our nation every single day. But if our elected officials aren't willing to fight for us the way you are, Congressman Hice, the way others are willing to fight for this, what's going to happen next? And I guess the final question is, let's say we do an investigation. Let's say we find out there was fraud, but by that point in time, it's President Biden. What happens after that? How do you fix that problem?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question, and it's a question that I have myself, and I really don't know the answer. We've got enough hurdles to cross right now to get to that point, so we're going to do all we can to get to that point. Once, if it can be established that Joe Biden did not win, then we will begin that battle with everything we've got when that moment gets here. But right now, we've got to deal with the election issues of November, and hopefully on January 6th, we will take our case to Congress and to the American people, saying that we've not been able to take our case to court. Hopefully we'll get it to the American people and start the process of ensuring integrity in our election systems.
Well, thank you so much, Congressman. I know you're heading, you're almost there at the airport. I know you're going to be boarding a flight to be with the good people of Georgia. Thank you so much for being on the Sara Carter Show. I always appreciate your time, and I thank you for giving that time to me and to all of us. We really wish you the best of luck, and we'll be with you in spirit in Georgia.
Thank you, and thanks for all you do. We need your voice and your presence out there, and we're grateful that you're there. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Congressman. Thank you.